guest that we're going to be bringing on is Eugene, who's the CEO and co-founder of Country Archer. We're going to be talking about jerky, which is something that, if anyone follows NOSH, we've been writing about just a ton. I went to NACS in October and met with some of your team there. And I'm telling you, I couldn't eat jerky actually for a little bit because I was talking with so many jerky brands and I just ate so much jerky for 3 days. That's all I did. I just ate jerky and I was like, oh my God, I think I may have just turned into jerky.
Well, hopefully the best brand was Country Archer that you tried too.
I am completely objective and I'll tell you later. Off the record.
Sounds good. Off the record.
So we chatted, like I said, we chatted with your team about the state of better for you jerky, specifically within convenience, because convenience has long been just one of the main channels of jerky. And even in the last year, we have seen that landscape continue to change. So first of all, just what role does convenience play that channel for you?
It's a huge role. I mean, to your point, 60% of the category is coming in from convenience channel, and it's always been sort of a known fact that consumers always went to the convenience store to buy beef jerky. So I think it started there, but I think just the insurgence of all these great emerging brands in the category has kind of crossed over into grocery and mass and clubs. So I think a lot of the traditional retailers are going, listen, that category we should be sort of thinking about. I mean, I think it was kind of like a back of the mind thought for a lot of traditional groceries, like kind of clip strips here and there, but now they're actually creating homes and designated sets within Safeway or Kroger for meat snacks. As a matter of fact, they're actually increasing these sets because they're saying, look, people are grabbing more portable protein and it just checks all the boxes, so why not? So I think it started in convenience, but now we're seeing a lot of crossover.
Now, within convenience, we're also seeing not only is it a crossover of just those channels and who wants to buy those things, but within convenience, you're seeing those customers who maybe were the better for you shoppers from grocery start to go more over into convenience. So when you're talking to convenience buyers specifically about why they should maybe take a couple SKUs away from some of the top jerky makers in the country that shall remain nameless, and give it to you, what are those conversations like, and what challenges do you face in that?
I mean, a traditional legacy retailer like a 7-Eleven or convenience stores that typically have always, stuck with legacy brands. Obviously, it is a challenge to try to get them to think differently, but that dialogue is already happening without really our input, right? I mean, you go into any convenience store now, you'll see great innovation, not just in a jerky, but you'll see it in bars, you'll see it in confectionery. So you're starting to see a lot of the better-for-you brands and other categories just trickle into convenience. So I think that conversation is just sort of thawing out just on its own internally within their respective organizations. So
now, when you are in a convenience channel, one of the things we wrote about in the article from, I think it was published in February or March or something.
Great article, by the way.
Oh, thank you. I'm shamelessly promoting my content again, guys. Sorry, this is the second time. I'm the worst. But one thing we had talked a lot about with multiple brands is this idea of the conventional consumer for that channel, which is the Bubba consumer, and how obviously you're targeting those new shoppers in convenience, but can you ever win over the Bubba consumer? I
think so. I think Bubba is it's an archetype of a consumer that was that jerky consumer. However, I think Bubba, from the price point perspective, jerky is not a cheap snack. So even these legacy brands are not necessarily more expensive or cheaper than even these premier emerging brands. So from a price point, we're in line. I think we're just sort of checking more of the boxes as far as what consumers want. And, Bubba itself, I think, is looking at grass-fed, looking at sort of certain things that, they want to put in their body, like no MSG, no nitrites, et cetera. So I think we can win the Bubba consumer. As a matter of fact, I think it's just a matter of time. As we gain more distribution, I think Bubba is just going to say, you know what, I used to buy that bag, for the last 10 years. This looks better. This tastes better. This makes me feel better. I'm going to go with that option. So.
Now, talking about just the category as a whole, broadening it out, there are a lot more players in the space than there were even a year or two ago. So many players. I can't even keep track of them all. So what a lot of companies are doing is they're using innovation as a way to differentiate themselves, and that's why we're seeing not only jerky and sticks now, but also meat bars and like bites, and we're seeing even like refrigerated kind of meat options and pork rinds.
Yep.
How does this shape or play into your innovation process? What are you guys looking at?
I think it's really great. And is this where I shamelessly plug our?
Yeah, go for it. I'll give you the baton. It's fine.
I think it helps us as a category captain in natural for jerky, because ultimately it pushes the envelope for us to constantly look within ourselves. Okay, how do we truly differentiate ourselves from the pack? So, like for example, our meat-based protein bars that we just launched with collagen infusion. That was sort of like we took what was already existing in meat bars with Epic, sort of trailblazing that category, and we took another macronutrient that's been growing like crazy, which is collagen, and we just kind of married the two, and that was sort of our innovation within this last year. These pork rinds, these other meat forms of snacks are constantly pushing the envelope for brands like us, because also we're vertically integrated, as I've many times have said. That helps us sort of go back into the kitchen and say, okay, how do we truly innovate and compete and really separate ourselves from all these other emerging brands that are coming out.
Now, how has the rise of collagen in beauty products and supplements, how do you expect that to help you now with food and getting that into that space?
Yeah, I think it's very important in the fact that collagen is something that we're used to in a sort of a supplemental sort of format, right? Whether you're in the morning, you're making a smoothie, or you're drinking your after work, post-workout shake. It's a kind of like not necessarily a grab and go. You need to take some time to truly incorporate collagen into your diet. I think one of the things that we're really excited about is this grab and go concept, right? We hear it all the time about how snacking's on the rise and people want to grab and go. So it just made kind of sense, right, that you would marry the grab and go concept in bar format with being meat-based and collagen. So I kind of thinking of that, that mom who's just in a rush to get out of the house and forgot to take her vital proteins or ancient nutrition that day, and later in the afternoon she eats her meat bar with collagen to get her collagen intake.
Awesome, and I think that the only other concern that people have with collagen is just price. How is that playing a role into your product?
Yeah, I mean, fortunately for us, we figured out a way to, we're not incorporating a ton of collagen in the bars, right? It's about 3 grams a serving, so it's just about right from a dietary perspective. To your point, I mean, when you buy those big tubs of collagen, it can get quite expensive. So obviously for us, we put it in a snacking format. I don't think the price point is really going to be a deterrent for us.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for coming on and chatting with us today. I really appreciate it. I think, like I said, we've seen so much innovation in jerky, so it's a super exciting time to be in the business.
It is, yes.
Awesome, and thank you guys so much.